in future for me or not. Then choosing a university is also very important here. And then and so on, like geography, which country to go for, and um, which is more suitable for me. Like it's a kind of subjective things, but I have kind of make them generalized for you so that you can think, analyze yourself whether which university or which country and which course is suitable for myself. So what are the skill tests that are generally asked in different universities in different countries? Uh, if I'm going for MBA, what could be a test that I should take? And if I'm going for a technical course, what should be a test I should take for? And what are the job market like? For example, if I do some course or some, if I want to pursue some profession, then does this country has a job market for that? And although I will not enlighten much on job market and calculating expenses because it's very, very subjective thing. It depends on country as well as the region inside the country. So it is something which you should have a research on, but I would tell you some ways where you can search and how to search for that. And then I will tell you some of the scholarships which are offered for the international students who want to go for education abroad from India, and what the key things which has to be remembered specifically is the application deadlines, because I have heard many students missing their deadlines. Like they have been preparing for some kind of application for months, and then they realize that they have missed the application deadline. So better not to do that. And then what should be in there in the motivation letter? The motivation letter, how it should be conducted, and what should be the content for that. So one by one, we will take each one of these topics. So let's start and let's proceed. So now, first question is where to start. Like for everyone, when they start thinking of education abroad, they are very, very confused. They are confused where to start. Same was the situation with me when I did started all these things. So because in 2015 I started my masters in University of Tartu. It's in Estonia. And before that I was quite confused for many years where what to do, where to start, and what to study. I was so confused. So now, first of all, start attending international education fairs. What are they? These are education fairs generally organized by agent agencies, and some of the embassies also do that. I will encourage you to join those education fairs just for the sake of education, just for the sake of counseling, so that you will have a brief idea what you're looking for, what universities are offering for you, and how you could apply for them. And maybe you can also ask them like what should be the motivation letter, how much the expenses each country needs. So these are the basic questions that you can ask them, and they're going to answer you. Although they are representing some of the universities, some of the colleges, it's up to you. Although I will say many of the times the agents will take you towards the direction which will be in their profit, which will go towards in their profit, not towards the profit of yourself. So I would advise, be aware of agents. Although there are agents which are genuinely helping students, but many times students get trapped in the vicious circle of uh, these agent organizations. So better not to go with them, because also if you go with the agents you don't have the education of yourself. Like you miss the research part, how the application should be and how to communicate with university. It's it's a whole process that you're going to miss if you go with agents. So now proceeding further. So the first question comes, the choosing the right course for yourself. How to choose that? So I have mentioned here personal analysis. In this, first of all, you should analyze your interest. So for example, if you are doing your bachelor's in computer science, and in computer science specifically you are interested in data mining, or for example you are interested in artificial intelligence, or for example in computer science itself you are interested in bioinformatics, then you should analyze it and write it down on a piece of paper for yourself, and think about your experiences. For example, in a school, you did some competition about mathematics. You did some competition about science, and you liked it very much. Then think of those experiences. Uh, some of you might have done some work as well, like before doing some before enrolling yourself into the bachelor's degree. Maybe some of you would have worked. So think of those experiences. uh, Analyze yourself what would be the cost impact. Like for example, you can search in general how much the education abroad will cost you, and accordingly think of your pocket yourself, that whether you are capable of spending so much money, whether you're gonna take some loan for that, or whether you're gonna borrow some money from your parents. So think of analyze yourself whether does your pocket allows you for to go for the education like that. And then think about your goal, like after doing this education, how it will benefit in your future goal, how you would align this education for your future and the prospective profession. For example, if I do masters in, for example, I have done masters in computer science, and now because my specialization was in data mining, I had the choice whether I should go for data science, I should go for data analysis, I should go for data engineering. So you can also think like if you do some course, then what are the professions you can go in, and then it comes the market analysis. You should think whether the profession or the course you are going to do after doing this course, whether in the market there are some jobs available for you or not, whether the people are demanded in your profession in the market or not. It's a very important thing to think of. For example, if I do some course which is not demanded in the market, or for which I'm not getting any job, then what would I do with that? Although education is never an ending process, and also it's never a waste process. So but still, because everybody judges us on the basis of whether we're gonna have some job after doing education, or whether we're gonna earn something or not. So also we have to earn our livelihood with that. So better to think of that. It's a major factor here. And what are the average salaries for the profession you are aiming for? um, it's also a very important thing. So let's proceed further. How what are other things to think of? So choosing the right geography for your course. In the world, there are some popular countries in which you can go for. So I would like to ask again, are there any guesses, or do you think what are the popular countries here? I think the students or the people are too shy to talk. Am I audible? I'm thinking now, am I audible or not
Ankit, the
at all?
participants are writing in the chat box. Hello?
Okay, okay,
You are
sorry.
audible, but the
Hello?
participants are on mute, so they can
Okay,
reply to you on the chat box only.
okay, okay, fair enough. Yeah, Ireland, Singapore. I can see more answers. Yeah, yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, you can see in the chat box, Ankit. They have written Canada, Germany,
Yes, yes,
Ireland,
I'm
Singapore.
seeing. Yeah, these are most of the like popular countries which students are aiming for. Uh, so I have listed some of them. but I have not included every country. I have listed some of them. So USA, Canada, UK, in Europe, mostly Germany, Italy, France, Australia, New Zealand, and there are many more. Like for example, one of the person has written Singapore and Ireland. So these are also popular countries. But for the moment, I will think of as a scenario for a few of the countries because it's very hard to cover all the countries and thinking of their scenarios for different countries. So let's talk about the scholarships. What kind of scholarships do each country offer? Um, in general, these percentages the are not the like the they are not graved on stone. They can be increased, they can be decreased depending on the merits and the university itself. So this is the general idea which I'm trying to give here. And say for example, USA is known to give scholarships if in case the meritorious students apply, then they intend to give scholarships from 10 to 50% of the education fee. And in case of Canada, in general, they do not give any scholarships as per the in particular universities, but they still have many scholarships which you can apply for. There are so many scholarships, international scholarships you can apply for. And in general, in UK as well, uh, there are no in general there are no scholarships which university states you, but there are some for example, there are some national scholarships which you can apply for. There are some international scholarships you can apply for. Germany is quite popular to giving tuition fee waiver. In many of the German universities, they are still not taking any education fee. But what they want from you is that you sign a contract with them. For example, you just they ask for money like around 7,500 euros from yourself for per year living expense of yourself. They want you to put those money in a bank and lock it for yourself. Although they are not taking any education fee, education on the name of education fee, they just take the service charges or the infrastructure charges, which is around sometimes it could be less, it could be more, but in general, it is around 700 euros or something for a year. In case of Italy, it is somehow related to, it is somehow same scenario in Italy as well. Although they charge for education fee, but they can also give you education fee waiver. They can they can they can give you 100% scholarship as well. In Australia and New Zealand, it's very rare that you get a scholarship from the university itself, but there are many organizations which are giving you scholarships. So some of the popular scholarships I have listed here. So some of maybe you would like to see in afterwards. And for UK, for example, this is Commonwealth Scholarship and Fellowship. Many of you might have heard about that. Rhodes Scholarship. It's a very prestigious scholarship that UK is offering for the education in UK. Erasmus Mundus. It's available for UK and Europe. And Fulbright Nehru Fellowship. It's for USA, and so on and so forth. There are many. DAR is a very popular one. Every year, many students go via DAR to Germany, and it's very popular in India. I think these are some of the names, but if you Google, you will find around 50 international scholarships which you can apply for. So now, what is there to research for? As for example, now you might, if for example, you might have chosen some country for yourself after doing all these studies and research. If you were have chosen some of the country, now the things, economical things which comes into the mind or should come into the mind, the research, economy of the country, how the economy is going on, how the unemployment rate is in the company, in the country, how is the literacy rate, how is the crime rate. So these terms, they sound you very small, but they are very big. So it's a vast area, but you can think of some of the things. For example, this I have listed unemployment rate. It's very important because it will impact how your future prospects will look like in the same country. Whether you want to get a job in the same country or not for the particular course. So it depends on unemployment rate, literacy rate, crime rate as well, how your living would be there in the country. For example, many students go abroad for education and they like to spend their life there. So how your future life could be there. So it's very important to check. What are the pros and cons which you can also enlist? So pros and cons, it's a huge list. So I have tried to give focus to some of the things here. So these are some of the things. So first of all, the average education expense. I have tried to find some of the figures for you, although these figures are not from um, some source which is like which is written on the stone or which is very legitimate. It's general search that I have done on the Google, and I have tried to calculate these numbers on the basis of many the numbers on many websites they have given. So these are just the rough ideas, so better not to go with them. Better start researching for yourself if you want to go for abroad education, but just for guidelines they can be followed. Yes. So USA is around 40,000 euros, Canada 18,000 euros. Sorry, I'm talking euros because I'm in Estonia and I'm quite used to it now. It's Canadian dollars and US dollars. And Australian dollar, like education in Australia is quite expensive. So you can think like it's $40,000. And in New Zealand, it's $30,000. In Germany, as I told you, that in Germany, they can give you education fee waiver. But although recently in many of the regions in Germany, in many of the counties, they have made a law that the international students would pay the education fee and the locals would not pay. So these are some of the things which are already in Germany in some of the regions, but not in whole Germany. And in Estonia, Estonia is a small country. It's on the western border of Russia, just in the south of Finland. Estonia shares the water borders with Finland. Why I have written Estonia is because just I live there, I live here, so just written so that. Average living expenses are also listed here. I would like to mention one more thing about the Germany here. Uh, not about Germany, but about Canada. Canada has a SSP program. It's a student service program in which uh, Canada wants most of their, like every student of them to get a visa, which is like any problem free or any stress free visa. They want every student of themselves to apply for an education loan up to 80%. So at 80% should come from the loan and 20% they should pay for themselves. So it's one of their condition in Canada. Most of the universities follow this condition. So if you're planning for Canada, better to check whether you are eligible to get a loan from a bank, from a nationalized bank or from any bank. So it's one of the requirements for going to Canada. So living expenses, the numbers are here. I hope you have seen those numbers. And yeah, so the next slide is visa prospects. After doing these education, for example, you do education for 2 years and or you do education for 3 years, then you would expect some time to look for a job. You expect that the country gives you a visa for that. So USA gives 1 year, but it's sometimes conditional. In case you are enrolling in college, not in a university. So I would like to tell the difference here because this point came into my mind now. Uh, there is a difference between a college and a university in abroad education, like everywhere. There are some colleges which are independent from any university or any other body. They are just governed by few of the authorizing agencies. Like for example, in India, there is AICTE, which is needed, uh, whose approval is needed for every college. But still, The colleges are approved by some of the university as well. They are affiliated to some of the university. Whereas in case of USA, these are not affiliated to any university, but they are in themselves a body which is governed by some other organization, although their education is not comparable to the university one. Because in general, they are the public college, they are the private colleges, whereas the universities, many of the universities are public universities. But in terms of public university, I say like government university, and they are one of the best ones. Everybody wants to go to a government university because they are comparably cheaper as compared to private ones, and they are recognized all over the world, as well as the standard of education is much higher as compared to the private universities. So in Canada, it gives you the same duration as of your course. For example, if you do 2-year course, then Canada will give you a residence permit for 2 years. Although Canada has very lenient rules for getting a PR, permanent residence, but yeah, I would say better to search on the internet for that. And for Great Britain, it's quite difficult to say because when you are graduating from a reputed university, they might give you few months to search for a job. For example, if you are graduating from a college which is not very well esteemed in the eyes of the government of Britain, then they will not give you that much time. They will ask you as soon as you graduate, you should go back to your country. So in case of many international students, they take loan for their education, so they have a very heavy burden on themselves after graduating. So if you're not allowed to work in that country, then it becomes a burden. It's a heavy burden. So you should think of these points as well. In case of Germany, they have started giving up to 18 months depending on your education. Sometimes, for example, if you do a 1-year course, they will give you 1 year. And if in case you do a master's, then 18 months would be there. But if in case you do your PhDs, for example, in case of PhD, they are also giving sometimes 5-year residence permit because you have already spent 5 years in the country. In case of Italy, they are still giving 12 months. Although few years back there was an agreement between between our PM. Our PM went to Italy and they signed a document that the Indian students would get a residence permit for 2 years after graduating from their universities. Although it was signed somehow in the news, but I'm not sure how much time it will take to be in force. And Spain does not give as such any permissions to live after the graduation. But yeah, if you have a job, if you are already in the process, then they can give you some kind of permit or they can extend your residence permit. France gives 12 months. Australia, not as such. They are still on condition based, whether you have a job, whether you have a legal earning or not. New Zealand, up to 3 years, depending on the level of education, same as for Canada. And in case of Estonia, it is giving you 5 years residence permit after you are graduated. Location wise search criteria, what are other criteria is here? So other criteria are job prospects after graduation. It's you should search country wise, whether in the country you are going for after graduating there would be any chance of getting job or not, whether there would be demand for regional language or not. For example, if in case you are graduating yourself in Germany and you done some kind of engineering, for example, you are major in physics, then in case of physics, for example, I know that many of my friends have done some masters in physics in Germany, and they very often they say that it's a language problem because many of the companies who are working in core areas, they demand local language. And in case of IT, it is very less as compared to other fields. In case of IT, they mostly demand English. Many of the countries still demand German, but still it's thing which you should look for. It's very country specific. And you should also look whether you have the part-time job prospects there or not in the country you are going for. Because I, as I have been a student and I understand, to be a student, to sustain as a student, it's very difficult. You have to work yourself, you have to study, you have to make food for yourself, and you have to do everything yourself. So it's very important that you also look for a part-time job, because otherwise if you don't do all the things yourself, you're going to spend a lot of money. Let's first check whether, if in case there are some questions, I want to check. So I think no questions so far. If in case you guys have any questions, please write them, and once I am gonna finish my chat, I'm gonna finish my presentation, then I would cover those questions, so that you would not forget any important question you want to ask. So which are the uh, possibilities where you can look for? Oh, wait a second. Again, it started from beginning. So these are some of the websites where you can which you can trust, and where you can search for universities in a particular country. For example, I will show you. So this is the Times Higher Education site. So here, if you go by world rankings, so this is the list of universities that I got from top 100 universities. I got this is the list they gonna populate every year. This is based on the criteria which are written here, and you can change it via country. For example, if I choose the country, which country I choose? Canada. So here are the universities from Canada, top universities from Canada. So you can see the rank as well. And this is the legitimate site, like everybody uses this in the whole world. So you can see, and you can also shortlist it by a course. Let's take a course as chemical engineering. So here is the shortlist now. Almost the same. I think all of these universities are offering chemical engineering because it's a quite popular one. And the same is for top university. It's a QS ranking, and QS ranking is also quite legitimate. Many of the universities follow these rankings. It's a QS top universities. So this is also a very legitimate site where you can check for the top universities from any country you want to. See, it's giving you the, in natural sciences, MIT is the top one, Harvard and Stanford.
Ankit, hi, this is Vishwas. I am the brand head of the group, MIT group.
Mm-hmm,
I wanted to ask you a very pertinent question.
mm-hmm,
Whenever it comes to studying abroad, the major streams that comes to mind is either science, engineering, or it is the management, MBA. So,
mm-hmm.
according to you, what is the scope when it comes to a student from, let us say, humanities? And what will you suggest for a humanities student to how to just get ahead post graduation, as the topic says, if he wants to, let's say, go abroad? So what will be your advice to humanities students?
Quite interesting. Although in India, taking a subject for humanities in masters, sometimes it is considered that humanities it's not so popular, and it will not give you a good job afterwards. Many times it is considered as this, because we have a traditional mindset in India. But thinking of like talking about in abroad, although it depends on the country you are looking for, and humanities has a very big scope in abroad. Like for I will talk about for example in a big country like let's take an example of Germany. In case of Germany, humanities has a very wide offering, but the condition is you should know their local language, because when you choose humanities as a subject, uh, anyhow you go in public administration, or it depends which major you choose for. But there are scenarios where you will interact a lot of local people. For example, you choose psychology. In psychology, if you want to be a professional psychologist, then you would interact with a lot of locals afterwards your education, if you wanted to have a job there as well. So you should know the language. This would be one of the condition to get a job after doing some education in psychology in Germany. But it also depends. For example, if you are going in a country which is already English speaking country, then this language barrier would not be there. And also because humanities covers a lot of things, so I cannot be so much peculiar about things. But yeah, in general, humanities also offer very wide areas. I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, Ankit, thank you very much. But again, further, I wanted to, take as much use of yours today as you are here. So my second question to you is, uh, do you see a reverse trend? Let us say we see a trend of students going abroad from India for higher studies. But do you see a trend changing where the students from abroad coming to India and for higher studies in near future? And how, basically?
At least this we are able to see the trend now these days, I guess. I haven't seen the numbers, but I guess the students have always been coming to India for higher education, although it was not in our side because we were not that much on media. Students from many African countries, from Nepal, and students from Bangladesh, students from Sri Lanka, many students education come for education to India. So I would say it has always been a trend to come to India for education. Why I would not say it's a reverse trend? Because in education in India has always been very good, has always a lot of prospects to grow. Although the competition is so high for the reputed institutes, that because of which we lack somewhere to compete. That's why we choose more prospects. We choose to give ourselves more chances. We choose to give ourselves more opportunities. But yeah, it could be increasing. The trend could be increasing, but I haven't seen the numbers.
Very, very pertinent. Also, Ankit, one more thing. If you have to rank from, let us say, one to five, top to five,
Mhm.
so which are the five places that you will suggest Indian students to, try and go for higher education? If we give rank one, rank two, rank three, rank four, rank five, so which are top five destinations according to you?
It's a very difficult question. Um, First of all, it's very difficult to answer because every student has their own needs, has their own criterias of thinking, of
No,
choosing a country.
I agree to that. But I'm saying according to you, if let us say you are a student and you have to let us say draw a chart of one to five, that these are the places I would want to go.
Yes, for me, I would choose. I'm a person who likes peace, who likes the country where there is less chaos, there is less problems. So I would choose. First country would be Germany, because Germany also gives me an option to study in a very less expenses. Although the living expenses is very high there, but still at least I don't have to spend much on my education. So I don't have to take a loan for that. For living expenses, at least I can spend by doing some part-time work, and then I can live off myself. It's one of the advantages that Germany gives me. Um, in the second rank, I would choose. For example, I would rather choose Italy.
Mhm.
Why I would choose Italy? Because Italy has a very good weather, Italy has one of the oldest universities in the world. Italy has the education system which is very good. Their medical system is very good, and the life itself is very good because Italians are very lively, and I like Italian food. One of the reason could be that. Third, to which country I would give the ranking third? Uh, Although it is quite expensive to go to New Zealand, but I would like to give ranking third as New Zealand because New Zealand is still giving options to get permanent residence very easily as compared to many other countries. And in New Zealand, there is a very um, high standard of living. So even if you are doing some part time, although you are spending much of your money like doing part time and all that stuff, but still you are living a good life. You have very good nature there. You have very good environment there. So it's a very good country to live in, and it's very less crowded, I would say. And fourth, which country I would give? I think it's very hard to for me to rank further because it also depends on the university. So for
But
example,
interestingly, you have not picked either US or UK.
because they are overcrowded and the crime rate is so high, and like every now and then we hear something is happening there. Something either by government, they are banning Indian students or foreign students for something, or they are doing something against Indian students. So I like, also UK is also not very much friendly on giving visas after graduation. That's why I'm not counting on UK. And for US, I would particularly say that it is because of the hate speeches that are going on in the news very now and often. And also, it is very crowded. Although the diversity is there, our community is very good there. Our community is very big there. But yeah, it depends on the personal choice. So for me, I think US is not a very good prospects for living in future.
There is one question, from a lady. I think, I don't know if she's lady. She's saying that Netherlands is giving free tuition free. Is it
Mhm.
true? Or further question is that are there any other countries also who give tuition fee free?
Yes, there are many European countries which are giving tuition fee waiver. One of the example could be Estonia. Estonia, in many courses, they are giving tuition fee waiver. And Netherlands, I haven't checked myself, but it could be true. And they are not doing any kind of fake things. They are not doing any frauds. They are very good universities. They are very reputed universities. You can search on the internet for them. We as Indians think that we never get anything for free, but it is true that in Europe, many universities are giving tuition fee waiver for the education. And as I already told, in Germany as well, there's no education fee as such, but they charge something for the administrative fees only.
Okay, there's further question. People are quite glued to what you are saying. You have become a absolute hit here. So questions after questions are coming. Congratulations to you. Another question that is there is that what is the frequency of scholarship exam? Are they open around the year, or there is a particular time frame within which you can apply for scholarships?
It all depends on the university you want to apply for. For example, in case of US, they generally take, for example, if I want to take admissions in 2021, then in case of US, most of the universities have already started their process, and so the scholarships would have been done already like few months back. Because before applying for some kind of university, you should have that letter from the scholarship, so that you would apply in that particular university, and then you can also say that I have the scholarship letter. So it could be a plus in your application. So many of the scholarships which are country specific, they go according to the admission sessions, admission times. For example, for US, it's generally around October, November. They end, good universities generally end their admissions in October, November every year. For example, in Germany, they end admissions every year around March or April. And for other university, other European universities, the time is around March and April. For Canada, it could be around January, December, January. So it all depends on, although the exams for the scholarships are going whole year because there are so many scholarships.
Thank you very much, Ankit. You have answered that one very, it's absolute spot on answer you have
Hmm.
given. Uh,
Thank you for the question.
uh, See, I think most of this is a very common question that I am reading out here, that how to tackle the language barrier, because let us say if you want to go to a particular nation, as you said, for Germany, you need to learn German. So how to break the language barrier? You first, either you prepare before applying, or it can be done once you reach there.
For the language, it's a plus point if you can learn it before you go there. It's always advantageous to learn the language, the culture, the food habits before you go to any country. But in most of the times, in most of the European countries, in many universities, they offer free courses for yourself to get acquainted with the country. They give you courses to get acquainted with the culture. They they generally give you some buddy for yourself, that there would be an experienced student for yourself, so that you would if you so that you would not have any cultural shocks, you would not feel neglected in the country. There would be somebody who would hear your questions, your answers, and also the language courses are always there, free language courses, so you can groom yourself after going there as well.
Lastly, I wanted to ask you that COVID has kind of opened one particular domain, which was that student can go online and study online. Now I see a lot of foreign universities also, giving online courses
Mhm.
which students can access. Let us say. So, in your opinion, as an expert, is online a better choice, or you will still suggest no, go there and study in the campus?
Um, it's a very subjective thing, but I would say for myself, for me, I am a 90s kid, so I'm still in the phase where this technical evolution happened. So uh, I'm still I'm still liking the old way. I'm still old school. I like the teaching where I go to a class, I learn from a teacher, I have a personal touch to the teacher. So I still like that way of education rather going for an online course.
Okay. But in your experience, does it matter when you show your CV to a recruiter that whether this degree was taken in campus or whether it was online? Does it matter in the CV?
To be honest, it used to happen. It used to matter in the CV before, but after COVID, I'm not sure if it would matter or not, because many of the people are doing their education online, and all it depends on the skill set, whether you have the right skill or not. If you are able to prove your skill set, then I don't think it should matter in future.
Brilliant. I don't see any other question. There is one more question which is about what do you think about Japan and other Asian countries for education?
Ah, Japan and other Asian countries. Uh, in my perspective, one of the key factors which kept me away from those areas is the food habits, which in general we Indians have. Because as an Indian, I have been living here for almost 5 years, but I still cannot live without Indian food. And in case of Japan, for example, or in case of many other Asian countries, the food culture and food habits is so different that I don't think I would be able to handle that. And yeah, but as Japan is one of the leading countries, so if in case somebody is not so fond of food, then they should go for the education there as well. They can look for the prospects.
Thank you. Ayush, I don't see any other questions as now. So can we close it? Ayush, can you hear me? I think your
As
I,
of now, we don't have any questions. I think one more question is there in the questionnaire session. Somebody asked, what is the benefit to study in foreign?
okay. I think he has taken the question earlier, but again, Ankit, if you can just briefly, tell people about what are the benefits of studying abroad vis-a-vis studying in India.
I didn't get your question exactly.
So a lot of people are asking. It is a repetitive question, but I would still want you to, give a your perspective of the benefits of studying abroad as compared to studying in India.
Uh, my first answer would be, once you're out of your country, you would love your country. Because
Brilliant.
after getting out of the country, you would start thinking globally, and you would understand that what good things your country is giving to you, how many good things your country has, and like there are more other things. Like for example, you will start thinking globally. You will, for example, I will give you an example from my life, because I have many Pakistani friends now. I have many Bangladeshi friends now. I have friends from some friends from Israel now. I have some friends from Palestine now. So your view become global, and then you start thinking like how their behavior is towards yourself. You will realize it's all in the media, which is making you think whether this country is bad or this country is good. But yeah, although the facts and figures also matter a lot, but yeah, it will give you a global perspective. You will start thinking globally.
Brilliant. I think, Ankit, it was an extremely enlightening session. Uh, the Even though the participants might be less in numbers, but the kind of you know uh, involvement they have shown during the entire conversation talks the quality of this webinar that you've given. A lot of things that I've also learned today, thanks to you, which I was not aware of earlier. So,
Thank you if I'm able to deliver something like that.
no, it's our pleasure that you took time out of your busy schedule and you could guide us about the education in the foreign countries. I would just request you that please once the colleges are open and we start having students come to the campus and all, we would love you to come and and share the experience in person also, because you being there and people looking up to you is a different thing than seeing you online. So I would love to see you in person and hear for hours if you are there in person. So uh, my congratulations to you for being such an outstanding and bright gentleman. I'm very sure that you're gonna reach heights heights that nobody has seen. You are so bright, and the best part about you is that you're very composed. Your composer, your the way you speak is something which I have learned also today from you. So
Thank you for so kind words.
my
Uh,
congratulations to you, Ayush. Thank you very much for again bringing someone as bright as Ankit,
Thank
and
you.
keep doing the great work. I thanks all the participants as well for your
Yeah.
keen involvement in the entire webinar. And Ankit, any closing comments from your side?
yes, I would like to say there are still more slides which are left, but I think the time is up. So I will share the slides so that at least the participants go through, and if they have any further questions, then they can
if
ask
you
to my
if you can
team.
share your email ID with them, so
Yes,
that yeah, so if you can
yes,
share your
I
email
would
ID,
share.
so these people get whoever is interested in write you a mail and get an answer from you. So
Yes,
if you can
yes,
just share your email ID.
yes, I would share. And thank you all for participating here. I hope I have delivered something which is useful to you, and I hope I gave you some kind of perspective you were looking for.
No, it was outstanding. The pleasure is all ours, and we are honored to have you today, and we would look forward to you coming again and delivering another such insightful lecture once again. Thank you, Ankit. Thank
Thank
you,
you.
the entire
Sir
audience.
presently is in Estonia, and whenever he comes in to India, then we will definitely call him for another webinar in
Yeah,
the college itself.
we gonna go
Yeah,
and,
yeah.
and grab him to the campus that you have to come because he's such an amazing speaker that we cannot miss out and hear him live. So whenever you are in India, you should be
Yeah.
here in the campus.
It will be my pleasure.
Thank you, Ankit, and happy weekend. Happy weekend,
Thank you,
everyone.
Ankit, once again.
Thank you.
Okay.